learning about it, it was, yeah, that was something that woke me up. But it's whole life, and it's a way in which you can essentially have immediate cash value in whole life. So there's ways in which you can design whole life, not just for protection, but for high cash value. And I just thought it was intuitive that most people knew about it, and
Yeah.
most people didn't, which also was another checkbox because there's a huge opportunity there. And this is really before you had some more exotic programs,
Yeah.
right? Because now you have a lot of indexed universal life, variable universal life, and you have some hybrids as well, right? So insurance companies have become very, very creative. But what we've seen as insurance has evolved is this plays a very specific role, and insurance companies have tried to play even more roles, and I just don't think that insurance should play more than just a few roles, because that's what they've played for hundreds of
Yeah,
years,
that's what they're
and
really
they've
good at.
tried to play them, and they just haven't played them very well because they've replaced and replaced and replaced and replaced these roles that they've tried to play beyond whole life. Whole life has existed for several hundred years. These other products, they continually have to innovate them, and they just haven't done well at innovating them.
Well, it's hard to combine. I mean, it's what you're talking about. It's hard to combine the balance of real protection,
And
right?
investment.
Foundational protection and real ROI in
Yes,
investment.
and
It's super
investment.
hard.
100%. Great point.
And I don't even know if it's possible. We've not really seen that long term be possible.
Uh-uh.
So, okay. So I love this. So whole overfunded high cash value life insurance. I remember when you shared this with me, I was getting my master's degree at the time because I thought I'm gonna climb the corporate ladder, right? And I remember I started being the kid that would sit in the back of the school or the back of the class, and I'm supposed to be reading my textbook, but I'm reading all of these books on economics, on life insurance, on investing, and you open my world to a whole nother view of how money is built, but more importantly, how money can be protected. Because I, like you, I lost everything I had made, all in the markets in 2008, right? And here I am trying to pick myself up, figure out how do I take more control over my finance,
Yeah.
and you gave me the key to doing it. Now, you did mention that your perspective, which I love this about you, you are a learner, developer, voraciously reading and studying. You mentioned that your perspective on wealth has evolved. Take us from that Patrick in 2009, 2008 to Patrick in 2025. What is your concept of wealth today, and how do financial products fit into that?
Yeah. Well, it's more than financial products too. Where do I start with that? I'd first say that, again, going to the principle of it all, it's well-being, right? So I would say, going back to the professional side of things, I saw so much value in the product, right? And then obviously I was investing in real estate, but I understood the idea around having control over your income. I think sometimes in the corporate world, when you're beholden to an employer, there's restriction, right? And so for me, I've always been, and this is me looking at in hindsight, I've been rogue, right? And I'm not saying this is for everybody, because this is my life, this is my personality, and I realize that it's not everybody. And I think at the time, even with you, because I encourage people to get into this industry that probably shouldn't have gotten into this industry, that should have maybe stayed in the corporate world, that should have stayed being an employee, that should not have pursued being independent, right? And that's on me. But I've been that way, right? And that's just part of my personality, because I want to be in control over my destiny. And I think you definitely carry those characteristics. And so, that's first and foremost. That's part of my well-being, is being able to be in control over my income.
Got
Right?
it.
That's part of. I think that's part of wealth.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Right. But I also feel like my little brother is an insanely successful attorney, and he put together a multi-billion-dollar hospital merger with Hospital Network in Colorado and Utah, and he's a great fit for that industry, right? Is he meant to be an entrepreneur no?
Yeah.
Could he do it? I think he could do that, but I think he's insanely successful and he lives an amazing life, right? And I think people are meant for that. So first and foremost, I feel that people should align who they are with a career path to earn money, and I think that is a principal part of a wealth strategy.
I love that. Okay, so can we actually go one step deeper on that? Because I think you unlike most, and I don't know if I can call you. Should I call you a financial advisor? I mean, you help people with money. Is that an appropriate?
Well, that's one thing that since my career. So I have business certifications now for exit planning. I have financial. I have investment, asset management, and investment fiduciary licenses now.
Yeah.
Obviously since we stopped working together.
So I think holistically, you're unlike anyone I've encountered in the financial advisement space. Most financial advisors say, give me your money, I'll put it here, I'll do that.
No.
You really help people tap into who they are, what they want, and unlike most financial advisors that are encouraging people to, invest so they could walk away forever,
Yeah.
you're encouraging people to get clearer on themselves, their values, what their talents are,
Yeah.
and put those to work professionally in some capacity to receive, I think, probably the greatest form of currency you can have, which is fulfillment.
Yeah.
Walk us through what you do there to help people align their career path, whether they're an attorney like your brother or they want to be an entrepreneur like you. How do you help people get clear on what they should be doing with their time and how money fits into that equation?
Well, I'll back into it. So the first thing is, it's like, I think people need to be clear about what they want as an outcome, right? And I'm not saying that there's this definitive end result, right? I think life is this we were talking about before, this series of things that they want,
Yeah.
right? Because if you define something that you want right now, once you get close to that, you're going to want something else, right? So it's a series of opportunities. So, but you still need to define that. Once you do, then I look at life, your financial life, as three pillars, right? You have your cash flow pillar, your protection pillar, and then your wealth pillar, which is asset allocation. Cash flow pillar, is made up of income, and that comes from either assets or earned income. Earned income is obviously your profession, and you want to try to align your profession with who you are. And there's not a million, but there's several different personality assessments, business assessments, where you can discover who you are, what's natural about you, like what you love to do, and you can figure out how to align who you are with a profession.
Can I jump in on that really quick? And this, I want to give you probably more gratitude than anything to you for this. You helped me find that about myself, because when I walked away from the corporate world, I had no idea what I was walking away. Like my original perception of financial freedom was, I'm going to sit on a beach for the rest of my life. I'm going to buy some of these Robert Kiyosaki properties.
Yeah.
I'm going to have some cash flow coming in, and I'm going to, because you deal with when you're in a profession that you don't love, it drains so much out of you that the only thing you can usually see is escape.
Yeah.
And if that's where you're at right now, watching this video, that's a good driver. But escape definitively is not the end result of human existence. Like, human existence is to align your God-given talents in the service of other people, and that's usually done in some form of a profession. So I want to say thank you for helping open that up for me. So how do you help people do that? Walk us through a little bit more about how you help people do that to align their activities professionally with something that's meaningful to them and find fulfillment in their work rather than detesting their work.
Well, I don't know if it's something I help them do. I mean, I wrote a book. The book I wrote in 2018 talks about that, but I don't necessarily have like a coaching service or anything like that. I mean, there's a number of books out there that do that. A book that I read this year, actually I read it last year, it's called Working Genius by Patrick Lencioni. That's a really, really good book. But Dan Sullivan has a bunch of books, right, on your unique abilities, and there's a lot of books out there. But we can get the link. But I built like just a free app where you can essentially upload I think Myers-Briggs, Colby, Working Genius, a bunch of different personality assessments, and it'll give you a master prompt that you can put into ChatGPT, and it'll give you essentially guidance on either improving your career, starting a new career, how to exit, how to maybe go to a more consulting in the same career path. So we can give that to people if they want.
I love that. Yeah, we'll include that here in this conversation. So,
but the idea is, in the end, it's like most people know what they don't want, but the point is, like, people are not meant to. I mean, go watch the movie WALL-E, right? People are not meant to sit still.
Yeah.
People are meant to produce. Like, we're producing machines, right? In nature, it's like the idea is like you look at a tree. Trees pull nutrients, produce fruit, pull nutrients, produce fruit. Even when they die, they go into the ground, become nutrients for new trees. It's like it's part of nature, right? And so you want to, instead of not doing anything, you always want to be doing something. That's what creates vibrance, vitality. That's nature.
I love that.
You just want to get closer to that and find something that happens to make money for you. I mean,
love that.
even there, I mean, there's no excuses. I mean, look at the freaking YouTube channels on, I mean, everything under the sun.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy some of the stuff that's out there where people make money just loving what they do.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you've got your cash flow pillar.
Yeah.
And in your working years, a lot of that's made up out of your active income, and you're helping encourage people to extend probably their working years,
Yeah.
doing something that they love,
Yeah.
build a life that you don't want to retire from type
sure.
of idea. You've got your protection pillar, which, you know, there's probably other products that fit in there, other philosophies, but we'll use life insurance as kind of a main component of the protection pillar. Then you've got your asset allocation pillar. So coming back to this idea of wealth, protection, and ROI, talk to us about that third pillar.
So the third pillar, so essentially with your asset allocation, we use something called a hierarchy of wealth. So asset allocation, right, is a function of risk and control. Okay, so the reason we like risk and control is because not all assets are equal to the investor. You know, a stock is risky to, you know, the average investor, but not risky to Warren Buffett. I mean, you go back to, you know, COVID, and everybody's like, because of Robinhood is a stock trader, right? And you have people with, you know, how crazy oil was, people using different symbols for oil, but they didn't really understand what they were doing, and they were trading the wrong symbols and going bankrupt, right? So it's, I don't know, you really look at that, you know, control being a function of education, and looking at me, I don't try to point this investment being risky and this investment not being risky. I think there's some inherent risks, okay, but that I think can be mitigated by the education experience of the investor. And so we use the hierarchy of wealth, you know, which is basically has 4 tiers, and it has certain characteristics of each tier, and we have specific percentage recommendations for each tier. And what we try to do is look at a healthy, you know, 8 to 10% overall return. But ultimately, you're going to be, you know, oscillating, right, in percentages all the time, right? But ultimately, it's like those 3 pillars. You want to look at, you know, living off of 80% in your cash flow pillar. Your protection is asset protection and income protection. Okay, so you want to have your assets, whether it's your house, your investments, protected from, you know, lawsuit, disability, death. Same thing with income. And then you want, because obviously if you build wealth, you have a lot of income, and you get sued, it all gets wiped out, right? Or if you get disabled, right, that gets, you know, hampered as well. And then obviously your asset allocation, which either grows wealth or is part of the distribution or income part.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so then on the asset allocation on the wealth side, eventually you're giving people at least the permission slip on the cash flow side to say, work can be optional.
Yep.
And the thing I love about that and your philosophy is it just opens up a doorway of opportunities. If you want to leave a full-time career and consult part-time, if you want to stop and write a book, if you want to go coach your son's football team and get paid next to nothing to do that or nothing, right? It just gives you the options. So I love, I mean, your holistic approach on wealth. I think, you know, that's evolved and developed and refined so much over the years. But you put all of this together in a phenomenal book. In Heads I Win, Tails I Lose. No,
Tails You Lose.
Tails You Lose. Yeah, Heads I Win, Tails You Lose. Sorry. Walk us through the core philosophy of that book. And, you know, that was after 15 years of having worked with thousands of clients and seeing the conversation of wealth expansively from so many different perspectives. What's the core thesis of the book, and why should someone have that today to put themselves in a win-win scenario?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, the saying itself, like, is just an old saying, which is basically setting yourself up to win.
Yeah.
Right? And the subtitle is A Financial Strategy to Reignite the American Dream. So American Dream, obviously there's certain context it's used to, like, home ownership is the American dream, right? But the original American dream that I write about in the book is freedom.
Yeah.
Right. So John Locke, one of the original philosophers that spawned, the American Revolution. Obviously, he was back in, England at the time, just very controversial. He didn't even write under his own name because he would have been, killed.
Yeah.
But he wrote about property, right? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness came from his saying, which was life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. Because he talked about how, the human brain needed property, or the connection of property, to really be the ultimate fulfillment. And people could not own property, right? It was only reserved for the elite, the lords, right? And so, ultimately people risked their lives to come to the new world just to own property.
Yeah.
So they risked their lives. They risked everything just for freedom. But I feel like we don't understand that as a modern society, right? Because we've never lived without those freedoms. We've always had them. And I think sometimes you just don't value something unless you've lived without them, without those liberties, without those freedoms. And so that's what the book is really about, is you want to pursue freedom, right? You don't want to pursue dependency. And I think there's far too many people, right, that want the safety and security and dependency, right? And the thing is, freedom comes with a price, right? Freedom comes with the price of responsibility. I just don't think people want that. And and when I wrote the book, I think I feel differently today. I think I'm okay if people want safety, security, dependency. Like, that's fine. If they want that, that's fine, right? That's not me, though. And for the people that are of the mentality of wanting to bear the burden of responsibility, that's who the book is for.
That's why it resonated with me.
Yeah.
I mean, it resonated with me because I think you're right. And I've asked myself this question so many times too. Why doesn't everyone do the work to be free? Let's go back to Locke for just a minute. Let's bring in another angle to this idea of property, right? Life, liberty, and property. We can consider ourselves, we are our own property. It's individual freedom to make individual choices that lead to both individual short-term, success, but long-term fulfillments. And I think given a long enough perspective, and this is what I love about you, you're such a long-term thinker, and I think the longer term you can think, the easier it is to make the right decision today to connect you with the long-term outcome that you're looking for. But when we talk about this idea of personal excellence, of freedom requiring stewardship and responsibility, and dependency being the counterbalance to that, and I don't know if there's an answer to this, but are they choosing dependency out of laziness? Or are they choosing dependency out of ignorance? Are they choosing dependency out of, they're just too overwhelmed with just survival right now?
It's fear.
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear. I love that. Fear of what? What do you think? What causes people to be afraid?
The fear of the consequences of taking that responsibility. It's fear of failure.
Yeah.
Right? It's fear of loss, fear of losing what they have.
So,
which is nothing.
Which is nothing.
Funny.
Yeah, that's very true. And here's the thing I love about this conversation. And guys, we could go all day on this. I want to get to the core of what Patrick's philosophy means to us today. Because look, fear is the antithesis of freedom, right? And if you want to be free, it doesn't mean you don't have fear. It means you don't let fear hold you back. It means that you face your fears. And I find with myself, I remember one time when I first came and started working with you, we used to go to CrossFit in the morning. And we were doing a companion workout. You probably don't remember this, but we were doing a companion workout, and I think we had to run with a 45-pound plate. I'm not a very good runner to begin with, and you were my companion, and you were like a beast at CrossFit. And we're running with a 45-pound plate, and I got like sick. I couldn't even do it. I'm running, and you picked it up, and not only picked it up and carried my 45-pound plate because we were tied together in this workout. I remember you told me something around fear. Don't be afraid. We can do this together. And you took us forward. And, I think part of overcoming your fear it's really hard to do it alone. It's really hard to do it alone.
Yeah.
You have to do it with people that can show you what you're capable of, that can carry the load sometimes when it's too much for you. And so as you're looking at your life, that's what I would recommend for you is be involved with the community. Take Patrick's assessments. Find out where your values, your goals, your ambitions, your talents are aligned in a profession of people that are somewhat like-minded to you, that are driven by the same things that you're driven by. Working with Patrick and Paradigm for about 3 years was the most transformational 3 years of my life, and I'm grateful for that. So, leading all of this to the core thesis of this workshop. So this entire event is about the concept of giving yourself a self-imposed time limit. I'll never forget when I picked up Robert Allen's book and it said retire in 10 years. It was it struck me because I'd never even considered it possible to retire in 10 years. That wasn't, I thought retiring early was, maybe instead of 65, maybe 59. That was all I was pursuing at the time. And when I read his book and he shortened the timeline, it required a completely different set of thinking to make this happen. So I've asked everyone in this event this singular question: if you had to get rid of everything you have today, okay, your business, your bank accounts, your insurance, all the monetary assets that you've built up to this time, and start with the real asset, which is up here, and over the next 10 years, you could work, you could earn money, you could save, and you could invest. And at the end of 10 years, you could no longer work actively for money, and that asset allocation pillar has to replace the cash flow pillar, your active income. How would you do it? What would be and I know there's not one right answer to this, but what would be Patrick's answer to how would you build wealth all over again and put yourself in a position where you're income independent from assets producing your income?
I'm kind of confused by the end part. So what happens at the 10 years?
10 years, you can't work for money anymore. You can't earn money from your active efforts. Assets have to support your lifestyle.
Okay. So I have to sell the assets at the end of 10 years?
You can still own the assets. They can produce income for you.
But
You
I just can't work?
You can't work, yep.
Okay, so I have nothing now
Nothing now.
that I earn. And then at the end of 10 years, I sell the assets and I live off of the assets.
You can keep the assets if they produce income.
Yeah.
Your third pillar, your asset allocation pillar, has to replace your first pillar, your active income pillar.
Okay, so what would I do? Yeah, so how I would earn, so I would make money right now. Yeah, so basically, yeah, I would be super clear about like my skill sets, right? So all the personality assessments. So I would use the tool that I was mentioning before, right? Because looking at everything that I've learned, like I've probably made more mistakes than anybody that I know. I made more mistakes leadership-wise, business-wise, but I think my strength is pain, or a tolerance for pain. I have a pretty good tolerance.
Good. My strength is pain.
Or tolerance for pain. But I also feel like I always learn the lesson. Sometimes it takes, having to go through certain things multiple times. So I always learn the lesson. And so I feel like I'd be able to put together a really good playbook of what I could do to provide value. And so I think I could so at this point I think I could provide really good big business acumen to a whole host of different businesses. So I would probably choose a business that would have the highest leverage, which would likely be in the AI space, and most likely either probably an industry that has kind of an asymmetric opportunity.
Yeah.
With AI.
Love that.
Yep. So that would be the business side of it. And then what I would look at is most likely where there'd be some really big opportunities for some EBITDA gaps. So there'd be really high EBITDA multiples between what I could get into and how I would be able to sell it in 10 years. And then at the 10-year mark, I would definitely use like the asset allocation. And so I think energy. So I would say the commercial space for nuclear and compute. So in Utah, they're building the biggest, I think it's 100 million square feet of server, like what's it called?
Those server farms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in the West Desert.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I would say, compute, like the commercial space, commercial real estate space. So yeah, so this is really weird because it's causing me to kind of think about how real estate plays into the future because it's 10 years.
Yeah.
But what I would do is I'd look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs and really see where AI where humanity would go, and how AI is essentially going to create what people would do just based on what AI is going to enable. So it'd most likely be kind of in the entertainment and travel space. And so, do you know, so this is interesting. So there's the CEO network that I'm in. There's a guy that basically put together, it's called the Groove Cruise. He's freaking crushing it. So what he does is he's partnered with all these huge cruise ships, and he basically has these different music genres, and he books out the entire cruise.
The entire cruise.
Entire shoot. He
Wow.
started with just 100 rooms, 200 rooms. Now the whole dude, he's freaking crushing it.
Yeah.
And so I would probably partner with him.
And book cruises.
Yeah, or at least kind of get some ideas there and just kind of see.
Yeah.
Because those are the experience economy.
Yeah,
I think is
that's
where
huge.
things are going.
Yeah.
So I would look for those type of opportunities.
I love that.
That would probably be where the investment would go, because I think that would create some really good cash flow.
I think that's interesting. I mean, so build a business. That's number one. You're
Yeah.
going to focus on your income, build a business. I'm sure you're going to have your protection element in there
Yep.
because you're going to go to the asset allocation model that
Yep.
you mentioned.
Yep.
And then number three, and I think this is what makes retirement, the concept of retirement planning, so hard,
Yeah.
and why it's also so rewarding to
Yeah.
just align your values in a profession that you never want to retire from.
Yeah.
Because what the heck is the next 10 years going to bring?
No kidding.
Who knows?
No, that's the thing, is like that's why I just completely, like, retirement to me is like I get it, and I don't. So this is my philosophy on retirement has also changed.
Yeah.
I think people should have a plan for retirement, but when they do it, it's basically just a milestone.
Yeah.
And it's a milestone to financial independence and freedom, because that is that continuous, essentially, path to infinity. It's like, who knows what's going to come after that and after that, but be open, right, to those continuous opportunities to expand.
Love that. Love that. Well, Patrick, what a wealth of knowledge, my friends. We're going to have all of Patrick's connections down below, especially the assessment. I would highly recommend that. I mean, Patrick helped me do this before he had the sophisticated tool. He helped me understand who I was, my values, what drives me. And man, I've been so fulfilled in my profession, helping other people for the last decade plus. And I owe that gratitude to you, not only to open up my eyes to the alternative world of finance and how to balance ROI with real wealth. I owe that gratitude to you. My friends, that's where we're going to end it. Life is beautiful. This was an amazing conversation. Patrick, my friend, thank you very much for inviting me to the beautiful studio, by the way. I mean, this is phenomenal. Appreciate this.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
All right.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Amazing wealth of knowledge, and love the depth of his answer on what he would do if he only had 10 years left. And I hope that you've had a chance to ask yourself that question. We've heard a lot of very big, famous or rich or wealthy people answer that question, but what would you do if you were not allowed to work in 10 years from now, and you had to and you knew that, you're not allowed to do anything else, but whatever you did over the next 10 years has to fund the rest of your life? That's an incredibly powerful prompt. And if you think about it, when you answer that question, should you be doing anything else? What else are we doing, right? Why else are we not getting that kind of freedom? Hey guys, we're going to jump in the VIP session here, and we're so grateful. Those of you guys on YouTube, we're grateful for your time here as well. We're going to go to VIP. A few things with that. VIPs, we are right now, you should be getting a text to your phone of a link we want you to join that will allow you to turn your cameras on. So I know some of you guys, your books are showing up. We want you guys, at the end of the VIP session, we're going to have you guys turn all your cameras on. We'll put all your pretty faces right here. We're going to get Ryan up and get a big old group picture. Sound good? So look for that link and join it. You don't have to join in this moment, but when we say, hey, let's take a group picture, click on that link, grab the book, hold it up, and Ryan's going to come up here for a group picture, and we make sure we can send it out to you guys as well. Sound good? That'll be. I'm looking forward to that. All right, guys, we are going to jump into the Q&A portion of this. Any questions you have for Ryan? Any questions you have about the program? Any questions you have about real estate or life insurance? Let us know what those things are, and this is your time to do it. Guys, without further ado, let's welcome to the stage Mr. Ryan Lee.
What's up? Yeah. All right. What's going on, guys? We have come to the close of the 3-day Retire in 10 Years Summits. And as Steve talked about, I hope you gained massive clarity on how you can generate massive passive income. The entire focus of this summit was to empower you in the game of money, was to help give you a perspective of what's possible for you, and then give you a framework, a map to go from where you're at to where you want to be. And I love the way Steve just ended what he said. Why would you not do anything else other than that? Right? The next 10 years of your life are going to go by one way or the other. Why would you get 10 years from now and be in the same financial position you are in right now? Why not live the next 10 years of your life as an empire builder? So, with that in mind, I want to say thank you to everyone that has been on this summit. Like I've mentioned many times, it has been a dream come true for me. It really has. I mean, you know, I've had this on my major definite aim. I've looked at this, I've recited this, I've envisioned this in my mind for a decade. And the fact that you made that vision and dream come true for me is so, I honor and acknowledge you and thank you for that. So for all my friends on YouTube, thank you for being with me in this summit. If you haven't picked up your book yet, please do that. If you are on the fence at all about joining us in Money Mastery, book your call. retireintenyears.com/MM. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm going to wish you a wonderful weekend, and we're going to transition in to our Q&A session for our VIPs. So thank you, YouTube.
All right, ready for the first question?
Let's go. All right, VIPs, what's going on?
Let's do it, VIPs.
Let's go. I see a few of them coming on right now. We got Tyler. Oh, we got Liz. What's going on, Liz? We got Miss Steph. We got Justin. We got
We can
Tyler.
see your faces. Turn your cameras on.
Let's go, guys. I'm so grateful for each one of you. So grateful for you. All right. Let's go to questions. Let's answer some questions, and then we're going to take a group photo. We got, let's see, we got people coming on right now. I'm seeing pictures popping up. Let's go. Okay, Steve, why don't you hit me with questions as we're getting everybody on?
Sounds great. First question is from Christine. Are credit cards considered bad debt?
Yes. Now, part of being an empire builder is understanding how to use leverage responsibly. Now, I use credit cards for everything I do. I mean, if I'm going to buy something, I might as well get the points and the miles and all of that. But man, you got to be super disciplined, super disciplined. If you're using credit cards to fund things that you can't afford today, then you should honestly go to the Dave Ramsey protocol, right? And you know, many people inside of the world that I live in, they're like, you can't give Dave Ramsey any acknowledgement. I love Dave Ramsey because he helps pull you out of poverty. He helps pull you out of financial scarcity and master your money from your budgeting perspective. So yes, if you're using credit cards to fund your lifestyle and carrying payments, man, now interest rates are working against you, right? I mean, going back to those financial forces, what do credit cards charge today? I mean, 17, 25, I think like 30. I mean, they charge a bunch of money. So if you're putting money in a 401k, earning, 5, 6, 7% and paying a 30% rate of credit card rates, that math doesn't work in your favor. So did I get to that question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Next question. Do you count land as real estate or only developed properties?
Next question.
Great question. I do not count land as your foundational passive income machine asset. The problem with land is you can't rent it. The problem with land is you can't get tax deductions on it. Now, does it appreciate? Yeah, kind of. You can force appreciation into it. But for me, I want to own a base of assets that give me multiple profit centers. I want to be able to use bank money, right, to buy the assets. I want to be able to amortize that bank money with rent coming in. I want tax advantages on it. I want it to appreciate, and I want cash flow coming in. So land is a form of real estate, and this is kind of the problem with the concept of real estate. When we put everything under the umbrella of real estate, it's hard to know what type of real estate is going to get you free. So land, no, for the passive income machine. But on the flip side of that, if you want to own land that you're going to build a cabin on, cool, right? That's just part of your economic, base of assets for your life, but not part of your financial freedom.
Next question. I attended the summit without my spouse. How do I get them on board?
I love that question. And I'm going to fully acknowledge that. Who asked that question, if there's a name for it? And I'm sure many of you might have that question. If you ask that question, that is such a phenomenal question, because financial freedom, it's a team sport, right? You've got to have your spouse on board to get things going. And generally what happens is, there's usually one spouse that's kind of driving the financial conversation. There's usually one spouse that's trying to improve the financial game plan. Very rarely are two spouses fully driving a game plan. Opposites attract. There's usually one, thinking about the future and one living in the present. My wife, Bethany, she's amazing, and she supported so much of what we've done on the investment side, but she doesn't necessarily want to be as actively involved on the investment side. So if your spouse isn't here and you're thinking about joining the program, then here's what I'm going to recommend. Two things. Number one, book a call. Get on the phone with our team. Like I said, our team is not a sales team in the sense that they're pressuring you, get your credit card out, do it right now. Our team is here to help you know if the threshold is the right time for you to step over it. So get on the phone with our team and get your spouse on that call. Once your spouse is on that call, you can hear about the program, they can hear it from someone else's perspective. Then number two, here's what I'm going to recommend, okay? If you haven't joined our Facebook community yet, you should, okay? It's Retire in 10 Years on Facebook. I don't know how you get there, Facebook.com/retire in 10 years. Go in there and drop some comments. Get your spouse in there, and then all of our members, all of our team, everyone's gonna get involved on that, and you can ask all these questions to people that aren't the guy trying to sell you the program. That's number two. Number three, I gave you an opportunity. I gave you an opportunity to where it's a no-brainer for your spouse. Put your money on the line, put your commitment on the line, join our program, get a game plan, and then come to Detroit. I promise you, when your spouse comes to Detroit and meets the community, meets the people, they'll know what you now know. That's the easiest way to do it, is get involved. And if, like I said, by the end of this year, you're like, oh my gosh, my spouse thinks it's crazy, no questions asked, refund, right? We're here to help you and your spouse become financially free. So that's how I'd answer that question.
Next question here. Is the portfolio that you own continuing to repay your policy loan?
Great question. Yeah, you go through this kind of constant balancing and rebalancing act. One of the things, and we didn't talk too much about it, but we talk about this incessantly. Anyone that's inside of our community, I see Mr. Scott Saunders, I see Liz, I see Peter Skaggs. Love you guys. We talk so much about both sides of the equation, about using leverage and about, ramping up. But what's the other side of that equation? We talk about it as a barbell. In fact, in your book, you're going to get the barbell strategy, where with the more leverage you use, the more reserves you have to have, right? You're just building up your wealth and as you build up your leverage at the same time. So yeah, when you're using more leverage, you're gonna have more reserves, a stronger foundation. And then over time, you wanna clear as much as you can off of the playing field and level up your reserves. So you're gonna kind of build and fortify, build and fortify, build and fortify your game plan. So yes, the further you go, you're gonna wanna constantly clear out policy loans and then start rebuilding on top of that new foundation.
Next question from Brian. So if you acquire more property sooner, can you accelerate the time frame for harvesting equity?
If you acquire more property sooner, can you accelerate the time frame? The time frame of equity is based on the market, right? Your amortization, how fast your mortgage gets paid off, that's only gonna happen once a month. And maybe in some areas, one of the reasons we position Detroit is there is an economic opportunity to have more potential appreciation in that market. But, really the function of owning real estate is a function of time. And when we build your game plan, we're going to help you work within your time frames. If you have a short window, if you're coming to us saying, hey, I want to retire in 3 to 5 years, we're going to show you how to pull the levers inside of your game plan to be able to do that. And in some cases, you might actually use less leverage, right? Less leverage to have more equity inside of your portfolio. So there's lots of different ways to accomplish the outcome. More leverage isn't always the answer.
Next question. I'm in my 60s. Is it too late?
Oh, that's a great question. Let me rephrase. Let me kind of flip it back on whoever asked that question. If you're in your 60s, what's the alternative? Like, I mean, consider that. If you're in your 60s, what's the alternative? And unless you can give me a better answer than what I gave you today, it was too late 5 years ago. It'll be even later 5 years from now. So what you should be doing is taking massive action right now. If you're in your 60s, financial freedom in 10 years or less, that's our promise, right? So 10 years or less, that's our promise. And if you don't follow that path, then 10 years from now, you're going to be asking yourself the question, how much Social Security do I get? Now, I don't know where you're starting from. Maybe you're in a great position, but it's never too late is really the answer to that question.
It's a great question. Next question from Eric. Does the vault only work for U.S. citizens?
Great question. I'm going to answer that in mostly yes. There are ways to do the vault if you're not a U.S. citizen. We have Canadian residents. We have New Zealand residents. You have to have an economic tie to the United States because the vault is based on the U.S. tax code. Now, I would jump on a call with our team if you're a non-U.S. citizen, and we can kind of talk you through some of the parameters unique to that situation. We've had people, in fact, a couple years ago, we just barely had an event where someone flew in all the way from New Zealand. It was awesome. Flew all the way from New Zealand, went to the event, got his vault when he was in the U.S., and then back to New Zealand he went. So yes, you can do it. We have to go one more level of strategy to make it happen, though.
Great question. Next question from Lisa. When we borrow against our life insurance policy, what are the fees or interest we incur?
Great question. So here's the best way to think about borrowing from your life insurance policy, or borrowing against it's probably the better way to say it. When you're borrowing against the life insurance policy, the life insurance companies that we use, they're mutual companies, meaning they're mutually owned. If you get a policy with one of the companies that we recommend, I own a policy with one of those companies. Now, you want the insurance company to charge me an interest rate. I want the insurance company to charge you an interest rate. They're just shifting the profit that they would have made elsewhere to the policy loan that they're giving you. But the way the policy loan works is it works just like a mortgage, right? Every time you make a payment, more of your payment goes to principal, less of it goes to interest. There's a phenomenal training video on this, and I think it's in chapter 7 or chapter 8 of the book. When you go to the Launchpad course, I walk you through the exact math of how this works. But here's how that works. The insurance company is going to charge you an interest rate. Today, those interest rates are between 4 to 6% generally, depending on the insurance company. But whatever they're charging you, they're paying you. Whatever they're charging you, that's what they're paying you. Now, on the surface, that doesn't make any sense to our math brain, right? If we're paying 4 and earning 4, or paying 5 and earning 5, how are we ahead? Well, it's the difference between simple interest, which is what your policy loan is made of, and compound interest, which is what's happening in your policy. That's the arbitrage that we're getting when we're borrowing against our policy, is simple interest versus compound interest. For the sake of just trying to explain that math, pick up your book, go to the Launchpad course, and I document that math for you right in the course.
Great question. Next one. After I sign up, what does the monthly membership include and why?
Great question. Man, here's what I would say about the monthly membership. You know, everything we do, I hope I've tied it back to the community that's involved. This system only works because of the community. Now, the system fundamentally works, but I've never met anyone, not a single person. And man, we have people in our community that have gone out and tried to do it on their own, and they come back, 18 months later, and they're like, it's too hard. I have questions. What can I do? How do I get some more help? So the monthly membership, I want you to think about it just like an investment, right? You're making an investment in accountability, in clarity, in deal access, in tax strategy. And if it is an investment, it should pay for itself, right? That's how we've set up the entire program. Everyone that's in our program earns more, makes more, accelerates time way more than they ever pay, right? The monthly membership keeps you in the program and accessing all of the resources that we have in the program. So that's really how the monthly part of it works. When you're ready to buy your next deal, it's there for you. When you're ready to build your private pension, we help you do it. When you're ready for coaching, it's there. When you need one-on-one game plan, it's there. When you need tax strategy, we do it every quarter. Everything you need to lower your taxes, eliminate taxes, build cash flow, and get through all of the challenges of becoming financially free, that's what the monthly membership's about.
Love the question. Next one from Brian. During onboarding, do we evaluate all of our current life insurance policies and suggest changes to optimize the passive income machine?
Phenomenal question. So every single person that comes into our world, they all come in different spots. That's why everything is built with a customized, unique game plan. You can't really build your, I mean, you can try to build your own game plan, but our team of tactical wealth strategists, they have literally done thousands of game plans. And so they sit down with you and they get a full intake of everything: your debts, your assets, your cash, your income, your savings rate, your equity in your primary residence, your credit card, everything that you have. And all we do, this is why it's my favorite thing to do. All we do is we pretend like you made us king for a day. If Steph came into my world, what's up, Steph? If Steph came into my world and said, I want to be financially free, here's what I got, I'm just going to pretend like Steph invited me into her world to say, hey, tell me exactly what to do. And I'll pretend like I'm Steph and say, if I were in your shoes, knowing what I know, here's the exact steps that I would take. And in some cases, we tell people before it's time to invest, we're going to go pay off debt. Right? We're going to harvest equity in this asset. We're going to liquidate this. We're going to pay off debt because we get a better rate of return on doing that. In most cases, we'll build assets first and then we'll come back and tackle debt. But no matter where you start from, we're going to help build a game plan that's unique and relevant for you. I don't know if the Andersons are on here or not, but the Andersons are in our community. They're probably the biggest story that we've ever had with this. They literally came in with $500,000 in debt, and for some very real and valid reasons, but they had it nonetheless. So we built a game plan for them to legitimately reorient where their assets were and tap into some things that they never knew they had access to. We eliminated that debt within 18 months, and 18 months after that, so about 3 years, they went from $500,000 in debt to $500,000 real estate portfolio. That's how fast I can go with clarity, with guidance, and with the right resources.
Great question. Next one from Pratik, who said, when you put money back into the vault, does that increase the cash value?
Depends. When you're paying back policy loans, all you're doing is paying off the insurance company line of credit. Remember, the money never comes out of your insurance policy. That's what makes it continuously compounding. Now, when I have access to new cash, when I get a bonus or when I'm cashing out my real estate, or I've got a tax refund because I implemented my tax strategy and I overpaid the government, now all of that extra money, that's going to increase my cash value. But when I'm paying back a policy loan, I'm not putting additional money into my policy. I'm just restoring my ability to borrow again.
Yeah, great question as well. What happens if the housing goes down in price, like what happened in the early 2000s?
That is a phenomenal question. Let's go back to really the foundation of why we buy single-family homes, okay? The reason we buy single-family homes is they are always in demand across all time. They're at the baseline of human needs. Everyone needs a place to live. Now, does it mean that everyone always needs a place to live in Phoenix, Arizona? Maybe, maybe not. Here's the best part about real estate. You're not going to own that asset for the rest of your life. And I don't want to get too complicated with this. You're going to own real estate for the rest of your life. You might not own that asset for the rest of your life. So part of the game plan, and again, this is why you need to be in the community, working comprehensively on your game plan. We buy where the numbers make sense today. And then every 3, 5, 7, 10 years, we're kind of shuffling our portfolio around. We've got the world's, I'm going to say it one more time. We got the world's leading 1031 expert on this call right now. Scott, wave your hand. This dude right here, Scott, I don't know if you can say, that dude right there has done 100,000. Man, every time I say that number, I'm like, how did he do this? 100,000 1031 exchanges. So this guy right here helps you reorganize and optimize your portfolio constantly. So with that in mind, let's say the real estate market crashes in an area. We're going to look at the metrics of the area to determine why did it crash, right? When the real estate market crashed in Arizona, for example, that's when I started in real estate. You heard Patrick talking about that. It was dumb luck. It's not like I knew the real estate market was going to crash in Arizona, but I did see the opportunity to buy real estate at depressed prices there. That was my very first foray, going from buying in my backyard to buying in another state. But Arizona, the reason it crashed is it was just massively overdeveloped. It was massively, massively overdeveloped leading up to the real estate crisis. And what ultimately happened is there was still a massive population moving into Arizona. It just took some time to catch up. So I bought the real estate. I still hold all of my properties in Arizona, all of them. It's a phenomenal market. And even though the real estate market crashed, it's now built back up and appreciated far beyond the crash. So we'll help you look at what's going on in that area. And if it's the right area, we just hold on. Remember, we're not trying to time the market. We're just going to buy an asset and let time do the work. If it's not the right area, then my man Scott's going to get on the phone on a Zoom call with you and help you determine, okay, this market's not good. You've harvested all the equity. Here's the reasons. Let's 1031 exchange this asset and let's go to this asset instead. So no matter where you're at, there's a solution and an answer to the problem that you face.
Great question from Brian. How do we get on the list for the Detroit trip?
Well, you join Money Mastery. Are you already in, Brian? Brian's in, right? I think Brian is in. Brian, I saw your name coming through. So yeah, Brian, we will be sending you an RSVP link on that on Monday. We put all of our effort into launching this event over this weekend. How many of you guys, was this a pretty phenomenal event? Did you guys enjoy this? Did you learn a lot? I tell you what, man, we put our heart and soul into this. I hope more than anything you guys have enjoyed it and felt like you've received value. But for Brian and anyone else that is in Money Mastery, we'll be securing that list for who's going to attend in Detroit here in about 6 weeks. So we'll be reaching out to you on Monday to get that going. If you can't attend Detroit and you are in Money Mastery, we've already got our 2026 calendar built out. So we'll just open up the other 2 events and say, hey, can you attend one of these other 2 events instead of Detroit?
Mike's saying, hey, my copies are going to be here on Monday for your book. When is the audiobook coming out?
Man, I tell you what, if I didn't yell and scream so much, I could probably have my voice last a little bit longer. So I tried to I'm about 3/4 of the way done with the recording. So I'm almost done with it. The audiobook should be here in the next 10 days. It's really, really close. I completely lost my voice leading up to this event. So I stopped recording so I'd have enough of a voice to be able to do the event.
We're all anticipating that. I'm excited for that myself.
I know.
Yep.
They said I could have AI record it, but then I listened to AI and I'm like, man, I don't want that. This book means too much to me to have a robot record the book for me.
What is the average time people see financial freedom, and how fast can I go?
Man, that's a great question. It all depends on your starting point. It really does. It all depends on your starting point. If you're starting from nothing and you have a lot of income, then we can go fast. If you're starting from nothing and you don't have a lot of income and you don't have a lot of assets, we're gonna have to get resourceful. I'll give you probably one of my favorite examples. We have Leah Whitman. Leah Whitman came into our community during COVID, and she was a little bit worried about everything going on during COVID. She had enough assets that we just made a couple of moves, and within 18 months, she was financially free. And it's not that, you know, the reason she was financially free is she had enough assets. We just had to shift where they were to be able to start generating income immediately. So that happened fast. Sean Beckman's been in our community for quite some years. He came in, and I think he might have someone told me that they beat Sean Beckman's record. Scott, I can't remember. You might know who it was. But I think if I remember right, Sean Beckman bought 18 houses like in 8 months. So maybe like it all just comes down to your resources and your resourcefulness. You can go that's why we say RLS. I don't know what RLS means for you. So however fast you want to go, although I don't necessarily encourage going super fast unless there's some major reason to do it, I encourage you in building a game plan that's sustainable, because the worst thing I hate is when people come in and they go fast and then they crash, right? They build up and they're like, oh my gosh, that was so much work. Let's just build something that's sustainable. That's how you win.
Great question from Josh. He says, I've stuck with the summit for 3 days. I'm just summarizing. It's been amazing. The biggest thing he's missing is the management company structure. Not sure just that aspect of the system. Is it worth buying the entire course? Thoughts? So questions on management help after you buy the properties.
Do you want to retire in 10 years or less? Josh, do you want to retire in 10 years or less? If you want to retire in 10 years or less, there's one way, one place to do it. When I made the offer for Money Mastery, I literally said it's a one-of-one offer. There is nothing else out there like Money Mastery. That's a good thing and a bad thing for you. The good part about it is everything, not most of what you need, everything that you need to become financially free is in Money Mastery. The bad thing about it being a one-of-one offer, you have to trust me. I mean, you have to trust me and get in and try it out. And I made it a 100% no-brainer, right? So you've got 3 months to get in, try it out. And if you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't going to work for me for whatever reason, we refund you 100%. But all of the management, of course, is included inside of what we do in Money Mastery.
Great question. Next one from Amy. If you don't have a lot of liquid cash, do you recommend taking money from a Roth account or home equity line of credit?
Oh man, this is my favorite question of all. Yes. Part of your game plan is we're going to help you do two things. We're going to help you see the path that you're on, right? And I think someone asked a 401k question yesterday, right? Should I continue to fund my 401k to get the company sponsored match? Everything has a cost and an opportunity cost to it. The money that's in your Roth IRA has a massive opportunity cost to it. Once you know it's not going to get you what you want, one of the best things you can do is reorganize where your money's at. That's how most people's game plans are built. It's not just built from, hey, I've got all of this stuff over here, I'm just gonna start doing something new. Most people's game plans are a process of moving assets from one home to another, from one location to another, to go from one result to a much better result. Now, how you do that all depends on your age, it depends on your time frames, it depends on the other resources that you have access to, but we've literally done everything under the sun to help people get going and get their objective within 10 years or less. So to that question, should you do it? Maybe. We need to sit down with you one-on-one to figure out, what does financial freedom look like for you? How do we measure it? What assets are you currently working with? And what's the most optimized pathway forward for you?
Great question. Next question. Are the real estate deals, how are the real estate deals presented to the entire community at once or based on your goals or preferences? I think they're asking about boardroom.
Great question. Steph, wave your hand. Steph is going to be on with you. She's going to be talking about real estate deals unique to you. It's not a free-for-all. We're not like, say, hey, first up, first one up for grab. We'll be working with you directly to say, okay, when it's time to buy, where should you buy? What assets are you working with? So everything is curated. That's really the thing I want you guys to understand with this. Is it's a curated, individualized game plan, which means it's a one-on-one unique pathway for you. There's tons of community involvement, but your strategy is unique to you and will facilitate that unique to you. So hopefully that answers that question.
Great question from Tyler. He said, weird question. My mom has 4 properties all paid off. She's 60 and tried to buy the 5th using equity from her properties, but the bank scared her so much they just wanted her to quit. What's the one thing you'd say to give her confidence to keep her going?
Well, come into a community that can give you the answers that you need to have. I mean, Peter, wave your hand. So Peter's one of the guys that has done, I don't know if you can type it in or say, you've done thousands of loans inside of our community. We have, every solution you need. That's really what it's coming down to. Every solution you need is right here in Money Mastery. So Tyler, for your mom, it would come down to, what are we trying to accomplish? What's the best move to make? And once we know what the best move to make is, who's the person that we need to work with to make it happen? Here's the way I want you to think about this. Most financial advisors, most lenders, most realtors, they're catering to the masses, right? And that's not a bad thing. That's where most of the business is, right? They're catering to the masses, which means they look at the world through the lens of average. What should the average person be doing? What's the average mortgage? What's the average rate of return? We're not playing in that world. We don't play in average. That's Wall Street's world. We cross the bridge and we're playing in the extraordinary, anti-average, the outlier world, right? If you think about that, the outliers, the extraordinary, they don't do average better. They do the exact opposite. So we've curated a community with resources, with individuals, with people, with coaches, with opportunities that will help you execute extraordinary versus squabbling with people that deal with average. That lender, I'm sure, was just someone who said, hey, for your grandma, or not your grandma, your mom, this is not the average thing that average people do, so therefore you can't do it either.
Love the question. Next one. I have consumer debt right now. When is the right time to sign up for this? Do I need to eliminate my debt first?
Great question. I think I kind of answered this question earlier. The right time for you to sign up for this program is right now. Now, what I mean by that, you should jump on a call with us first, and you should have an individual call for your situation, right? I mean, we can easily coach you getting out of debt. We can easily help you do that. That's part of a game plan. But we need to look at your situation comprehensively to say, hey, does it make sense to be an investment group if you're in $500,000 of debt and have no way to get out, or if we have a bunch of debt and there's a way to get out and way to re-optimize your assets, then yeah, you should be in the group and we'll just help you do it better and faster.
Yeah, open up a tab, go to retireintenyears.com/MM and just jump on the call with us for that one.
Let's do it.
Next one from Josh. Does the cost of the program include establishing a holdings company or LLC as well as the IUL? What if one already has these foundational aspects in place?
Great question. Yeah, so we're going to use the assets that make sense to get the outcome that we want. So sometimes people come in and they're like, hey, this is a great asset. This is a great structure. Yeah, let's keep it. Let's use it. Oftentimes, I'll be honest with you, we have to restructure, especially if it's an IUL. We're not going to use that. So we need to restructure what you have to get the outcomes that we're trying to get. So everything you need will be mapped out, and then we'll just analyze everything you have under that threshold of what's required. And if what you need is what you have, then we just say check the box. You already have it done. You have the right holding company. We're going to use that. We're just going to build around what you already have. If you have assets, IULs, 401ks, market-based accounts, whatever that don't fit the mold, then we're just going to strategically work with you within your time frame, within your goals, to rearrange the assets that you have to get the outcomes that we're trying to get. Great question, though, Josh.
Next question from Lisa. My husband and I are both self-employed and have a small mortgage on our current home. How do we get approved for additional mortgages as we are bringing our taxable income lower due to your guys' great tax strategies?
Let's go. I love that. That's a balancing act. It really is, unfortunately. It is a balancing act. And so I'll kind of give you my personal answer for this. When I decided to go and buy as much real estate as I could, we actually produced income for my wife, who at the time didn't have any income. We produced income and paid taxes on that income so that we could gain access to leverage. We configured it and timed it in a way that we could produce income, get the leverage that we need, and then we shut off our income. So that's the best part about having a game plan, is a game plan is going to help you understand what is required and what are the steps to do it. And then when we can put the right team around you, then we can make sure it's done in the most cost-effective way. So awesome that you're reducing your taxes. I love that, but we do have to play a balancing act for sure.
Great question. Next one. I've done the hard work of buying real estate before and did it wrong. Does your program help me find the good properties before they're on the market? Might be a little bit of a repeat, but
yeah,
good to reemphasize.
That's such a good question. Armando's not on here right now, but Armando is probably one of my favorite examples of that. You know, he had, like so many people do, a bad experience with real estate. I mean, raise your hand if you've had a bad experience with real estate. If you haven't yet, you're not a real estate investor. I mean, like, that's just part of the game. So when you have a bad experience with real estate, does that mean real estate doesn't work? No, it just means we have to do things differently. We have to learn our lessons. So Armando came in and he had some pretty bad properties in pretty bad areas, and we just restructured his portfolio. So that's part of the game that we play. In fact, I don't know if the Reynolds are on. Laura Reynolds, man, she is a beast. She's phenomenal. She came into our world, I don't know, probably about a year ago. And she had good properties, not great properties, right? Decent cash flow, not great. She didn't have the right assets to become financially free. So over the last year, we've just been restructuring what she has to put her into a better situation. So to that question, we'll help you get the right assets in the right position to get the right outcome. If you already have assets, we'll just help you restructure what you have in a time frame that's relevant into the right assets. But we bring everything you need to the table from the real estate side.
Next question. I'm going to make this one up on the spot just because I think it's always fascinating to ask you about this. Let's say that I'm ready to start buying real estate and none of the banks around me or any of the traditional finance methods are working for me. Where can I turn for funding for my properties?
That's a great question. Peter, can you wave again? Peter's my BFF until he's done lending. Once he's done lending, then I'm going to have to find a new BFF. But I don't think we've ever had a problem. I might have to qualify that, but I don't think we've ever had a problem finding people financing, whether it's private lending, whether it's DSCR loans, whether it's conventional lending. We live in a debt-based world. If we can't find debt, then we're just not looking. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Last question here. Is there an update on Robert's wife?
Oh, man, that's a phenomenal question. can somebody bring me my phone? I don't know where it is. It's plugged in. I'll just give you the update from my text message. So Robert's wife, man, she is phenomenal. She's probably, we're trying to make this work. She's probably going to come to Rise Up Live. That's our big event that we do every year. We usually bring her out to our big events. And so she'll be at the event in April next year. But Robert's wife, man, she's had some health complications. She really has. So she went into at 3 a.m. On Thursday night, Bob was knocking on my door saying, I've got to get home. I've got to get home. My wife just got taken in an ambulance. She went into kind of some septic shock. They put her in immediate surgery, but she's now out of surgery. And she is a firecracker of a woman. I mean, this woman, she is spicy. She's spunky. She's like funny. And I guess she's already kind of like talking trash to the nurses and, back to herself. So Bob told me that it's probably going to be a couple days that she's going to be in the hospital, just trying to monitor everything. And then she's going to be on strict bed rest for a couple weeks. But all signs are looking really, really good. So thank you for asking about that. Bob was very sad to miss the rest of this event, but obviously Daryl, her health is the most important. Great question.
All right, hey guys, thank you so much to Ryan. We want you guys to go turn your cameras on now. Hold up any copies of the book you might have with you. We know that most of them are still getting shipped out to you right now, but let's take a group picture here with Ryan with these books. Hold them up. Look how many books have already shown up. That's amazing.
Peter,
thank you so much.
Stack.
Look at that. Look at that huge stack from Peter. Look.
Everybody needs
That is
to be
amazing.
BFFs
So many
with
books.
Peter. Look at that, dude.
So
That's
many
awesome.
books. Awesome. Let's hold on up. Hold it for the pose. Here we
I'm
go.
not signing all those, man. There's
Look
no
at that. Yeah,
dang
or
way.
hold it up on the phone, even as Paul is doing right there. Hold it up on the
Paul,
phone
let's
as well.
go right on the phone. I love it. I love it. I love it. Guys, I appreciate you so much. This is awesome. This is awesome. Peter, that's a big old stack, man. Thank you. We good? Okay. Any other questions? All right, guys. VIPs. Again, I want to say thank you. I don't know what else to help you, give you anything that you need. If there's questions, I'll stay as long as it takes. But what I'm going to say is now's the time. I mean, if there's anyone that this is the time for, it's you. You put, what did we do? I think $47 to become a VIP. You've already put money on the line, which tells me you're ready for something different in your life. If you're ready for something different in your life, there is no other option to be financially free in 10 years or less other than this option. I brought up all of my mentors, right? I really did. And, those mentors taught me pieces, right? When I brought up Patrick taught me a piece, but life insurance isn't the solution. When I brought up Greg Cohen had a piece, but real estate isn't the solution. Syndications aren't the solution. Heart isn't the solution. Desire isn't the solution. All of those mentors we poured into a system. The solution is a system. It's a goal, it's a system, and it's an identity. When you can put all three of those things together, you have a transformation. So that's what we've put into this program. We've put in every asset, every resource, every person, and the community to give you the opportunity to transform. The only difference between where you're at and where you need to be is transformation. Immerse yourself with us for the next 3 months, and I promise you, your life will be changed. You will go into 2026 seeing new opportunities that have always been there that you just couldn't see before. You will go into 2026 having confidence that is now growing into certainty that you can become financially free in 10 years or less. And not only can, you will. You'll be like Stephanie. You'll be like Scott. You'll be like Peter. You'll see people who started exactly where you started and achieve the exact results that you want. You'll see these people, you'll interact with these people, and then you'll have the framework right next to you to do it. So if you're on the fence, book a call. Book a call, talk to our team. Our team is 100% on your side. They will give you the absolute right path for you, even if it means waiting. But if you're in a position at all where now's the right time, they will open the door and say, come on in. We've got, I think, 12 more spots, maybe 14 more spots, and I want you to be one of them. You're here with me on a Saturday. It's Saturday now. You're here with me on a Saturday night, which tells me now is the time. So for those of you that have made the commitment, thank you. I look forward to interacting with you next week. We'll get you all the resources on Detroit. We'll get you involved in our weekly coaching. And more than anything, we'll start working with you one-on-one to build your game plan. For those of you that are on the fence, book your call. I'll see you on Monday. Guys, thank you so much. I love each one of you. Thank you for spending 3 days with me. It was awesome. I appreciate you.
The education, I will say, is is priceless.
Transformative. Absolutely transformative.
It's life-changing, really. The education is incredible. Amazing.
It's been fantastic. The education is the blocking and the tackling.
I would say the education's changed our lives.
If you don't have the foundation, if you don't have the education to know how to block and tackle, then you can't move fast.
Encouragement, not just knowledge, but the support.
The big thing about the financial education is it shifted me from a big scarcity mindset to a abundance mindset.
A financial education that you can't learn in school. Straight up.
I'm a finance major, and it's taught me that everything I learned in school is the complete opposite of what I'm doing right now.
I've gone through college education, but they never taught how to understand money, how to understand the financial system, how to understand everything that the government does that impacts other things.
Nothing in life that is worth anything is easy. You've got to struggle a little. But really, I wouldn't say this is a struggle, but there are things that you need to learn in order to be that person you need to be. And the education here at CFT gives you that knowledge.
I feel like I'm getting a master's degree every month.
It changes your financial picture, your long-term financial picture.
The education process, I guess, would say, it just gives me a hunger to learn more.
Cash Flow Tactics has changed my life because it's given me a belief in myself in relationship to money that I never thought was possible. I was born in a family that was poor, that has a very dysfunctional relationship with money.
She was much more financially sound than I was. And I learned a lot from her, but I think having an outside source, like an equal playing field, an unbiased set of foundations and beliefs to work from, allowed us to come together and work together to create what is now our financial path.
It's also brought a lot of financial transparency.
When I found this program, it brought everything a lot clearer, and it brought everything together in a package that made sense.
I've learned both mindset, but also skill set. And in the process, I've gained a network of a lot of really cool and unique individuals that are doing the exact same thing. When you have a network of other people that can help you when you get stuck, it's invaluable. And you can also be that resource for them. And together, you get that synergy, and you're able to move forward when you're stuck.
Didn't know anything about taxes or how to structure this stuff, so this has been just priceless. It's exactly what I needed to build my confidence to really go out there and do it.
The education is the piece around giving you the confidence to move forward in the action. I learned all that all through Cash Flow Tactics. It's incredible, incredible.
Yeah, so much that you can just find a class on it that they have it in their arsenal.
It's like having your own spreadsheet guy on the right, and you got your own motivation guy right here on the left who's gone through everything with you. And so it's like having them on the team with you.
They say, we want you to have a strong foundation, a strong educational foundation.
Probably the strongest resource that I've leaned on since I've been in is the Academy. The Academy videos that they have on the Cash Flow Tactics portal are an incredible resource.
When I watched the first video, I was just immediately struck by the genius.
They make it really easy. There's so much information that you can access continually.
I binged watched it nonstop.
I listen to all their podcasts and I watch all their videos, and I binged on all their stuff.
You start with the podcast, you get involved with the weekly calls that we have, you learn from the group there, you then start reaching out one-off to individuals to learn from them. You come here to these events, whether it's here or the Cash Flow Heaven Tour, the different things that they're doing, and you just add on to it, right? And so there's so many different mediums in which you can interact. But to me, they're all additive, and you need them all to continue to, give you the confidence in what you're doing, but also to continue to build that education up.
I didn't watch any TV. I binged on Cash Flow Tactics. because I was like so, engrossed in the information. I'm like, wow, this is great stuff.
The Academy was kind of eye-opening. It was understanding how to structure your wealth strategy appropriately so that you don't have that risk of ruin. You don't have things that are going to create catastrophe in your life.
The education and is giving me confidence in doing what we want to do, what's required to do. I definitely would not have done this on my own if I'd just seen a couple videos or read a couple books online.
It's way beyond just finances and real estate.
It is a personal development journey as much as it is a wealth strategy and everything in that regard.
You find out that you have parts of you that you didn't know you had.
There is definitely an aspect of personal development that people don't take responsibility for.
I have learned so much about how to be and how to go and how to accomplish.
They're also really helping you identify who you are and who you want to be and the why you want to do this, right? What's that real reason you want financial freedom?
It's all about becoming someone. It's all about knowing and following that pursuit.
As we're going on in life and seeing our children, we're like, we don't want the same thing for them. We want something different. And this has really helped us realize and be empowered that we can give them something different.
Building you up as a person, building your confidence and the knowledge, right? Having the knowledge is what gives you the confidence.
I love how they think of everything, your reserves, taking care of your family, like protecting, like you're the greatest asset.
Probably 80% of the message is about doing what's important for you and not only building a portfolio of assets, but building a foundation below it to eliminate your risk of ruin. And how many times do you go and listen to somebody talking about maybe a product? Do they also then talk about the importance of being a good person?
The education's great. What they do and how they help you prepare for, not only the present, not only a downturn in your life or in the economy in the future, but they are just 3 outstanding role models from the way they conduct their business, the way that they present themselves in person and online. But the biggest thing is we see them, how they interact with their family.
Yeah.
And we try to do a lot of the things that they do.
Knowing that the principles of finance, the foundation is there. And if I need to make different choices based on what's happening at the moment, that I have enough education and enough understanding so that the principles can guide me in those decisions.
And now I have a framework, now I have the education, and it just, not much changed, and how much money we make, not much has changed. But just the mindset and knowing what to do with the resources that we have is what has changed.
Before I started working with Cash Flow Tactics, I had no exposure to all these concepts, though they're out there. It's like people go to college and spend all this money and throw their money into the RIA, and they have no idea that there's a different path. They think that's the only path and that they're fed you don't need to know. If they're fed you don't need to learn, and it's the opposite.
True wealth requires a path. True wealth requires a system, if you will. Cash Flow Tactics has laid that out very clearly. Number one, that I could see it on a spreadsheet like Brad loves to do, but I can see it in my mind too. And that's the greatest thing.
You can learn different pieces of it, but to pull it all together and bundle it up.
Oh, it's been amazing. I feel a lot less stressed about money. I feel like I have a clear path and where I'm going to go.
I've tried many different things, and I've had pieces of what Cash Flow Tactics teaches, but I've never had the whole picture. And that's what I've gained here with CFT, is it's put the pieces together.
It's not hard. It's well laid out. I'm able to follow it because I'm really meticulous of what I do. I was in the Navy, and I'm I have to have things in, okay, what's the system, what's the mission, and all these other things, right?
Cash Flow Tactics has brought that education to us to then think about those things and then apply them to our life. And just thinking about money differently.
Cash Flow Tactics has given us the principles and the ability to learn and understand and build that foundation to put us in a position that we're we're in today.
I stopped contributing to my 401k after 25 years of doing it. Just shows you how powerful and what an impact all of the education has had on me. It's a big change.
I came for the financial education, but have stayed for the networking and the mindset.
We had a framework to develop a plan. We had a lot of goals, a lot of ambitions, a lot of dreams. We're very goal-driven rule followers in life, but we didn't have a roadmap on how to map out what the next 5-10 years are, how to actually set goals and what you should be chasing. Now we have a very clear chase. We have a very clear path that we're on.
My reaction to finances and to bills and to taxes and all the things that I'm learning about was I would much rather turn away and bury my head in the sand than face it, although I have to face it at some point. And so I was in this like paralysis of like feeling like I'm stuck in my life. I'm not taking ownership of a very important aspect of my life. And Cashflow Tactics it's more than, they call it Cashflow Tactics, but it's more than the tactics and the strategies. It's given me a belief that I can learn this information and I can become a master of it so that I can be in control of my life. And that is priceless.
Where am I at in my journey? I'm in a good place. I've learned a lot of things that I did not know. I've been able to implement a lot of things that I just haven't thought about in the past. But I'm not at the beginning, but I'm not at the end. And truthfully, I don't know if I'll ever be at the end. But I will be in a place where I can effect change, where I can pay it forward, where I can help others on their journey.